Our final story profiles a therapy that resulted when a scientist investigated his own injuries and came up with his own cure. Moshe Feldenkrais was injured so badly that no one knew if he'd ever walk properly again. He restored himself to health by creating his own system of neuromuscular improvement. Now an internationally known therapy, Feldenkrais can produce astonishing results.
I got into Feldenkrais through an injury. I had tried many different modalities to heal myself. And when I found Feldenkrais, not only did I find a way to heal my injury, but I found a way to have a richer, broader life.
Often people come to me for one request or another. I'd like to sleep better at night. Oh, my back hurts, can you help me? My husband had a stroke 2 years ago, can you help him with his recovery? And then later they will say something like, you know, I came for lessons for this reason, but in fact I got so much more.
I've worked with top professionals in my field in physical therapy. I tried other modalities of Rolfing, chiropractic, and nothing kept me out of pain for any period of time until I discovered the Feldenkrais work.
Feldenkrais, born in 1904, led an adventurous and richly varied life. He mastered many areas of science, served both the British and Israeli governments as a wartime science officer, and achieved a black belt in judo. He drew on all his experience of science and martial arts to study how the brain organizes patterns of sensation and movement, to analyze the way his own body moved, and to create the Feldenkrais method to deal with his own injuries and those of his students. By the time of his death in 1984, he had published many books and established Feldenkrais teachings in both Europe and the United States.
It is all about creating a means of communicating with the brain. That's it. Did you feel when you softened your chest? And because we can't touch and see and feel the brain, I look not just to touch the bones and muscles and the skin and tissue, but actually to feel how their brain is organizing movement, how their brain is creating action.
The Feldenkrais method involves individual and group sessions, or classes, where through gentle manipulation and exercises, Feldenkrais practitioners teach students to adapt to new possibilities of standing, sitting, and moving. The goal of the Feldenkrais practitioner is to communicate with the nervous systems and the brain itself, so that students who suffer from repetitive stress, traumatic, and neurological injury can learn how to sense and feel what's going on in their bodies better, and then use their skeleton and their muscles in more pain-free, efficient, and effective ways.
And one of the principles that we work a lot with is the notion that well-organized movement, you use the least amount of muscular action to get the maximum outcome, and then you come back to neutral. So a lot of the people that I work with, their sense of neutral is skewed. They're so used to taking action that the system never really comes back to a quiet, neutral space. And why that's a problem for people is when they go to do the next action in life, sometimes there's a little bit of residual action from things they've done before, and it gets kind of cloudy and murky. So my job is to really clean that up, have people have a really clear sense of what a quiet nervous system is, what neutral is when they're just standing. Then the muscles come to play when you want to take action.
I'm a competitive runner, and I've had some chronic hip pain for a while. It kind of comes and goes. I've tried a million different things to help, like different doctors, massage, acupuncture, stretching, and nothing's really worked sufficiently. And so I stumbled across Feldenkrais, and I found that it helped my running a lot. I was able to run more than I had. I feel like I have a wider range of motion.
When I work with somebody, I don't come from a fixed notion of what alignment is, but it's where they can function well. So when I touch their hips, can they move equally in any direction, or is there some way that they're stuck? Feldenkrais said ideal posture was the person who could flee the tiger. And we find that just making subtle adjustments, all of a sudden they can move in any direction. And it's very freeing for people because they really feel they could flee the tiger, they could go in any direction, and it's not just their hips, but in everything in life. The big overriding principle that I work on in every class is the brain and how the brain creates new patterns. And then you're going to let your wrist be limp, and you're going to look to use the least amount of effort to hold your arm there. And that's it. And then you're going to very slowly and gently just extend your arm.
I had an injury about 5 months ago with my shoulder, and I tried physical therapy and some other things. Didn't help me very much. The work with Feldenkrais has been just phenomenal. The brain-body connection has really, really freed me so that the arm could rest and get better and have more mobility and just a basic better frame of mind, because I know that I'm getting better.
So this elbow comes to this waist. That's up toward the ceiling. It's going to slide along the floor. That's it. That's it.
I came to Rebecca because I had a torn knee, meniscus, cartilage, and I'd read the Feldenkrais books, and I thought that was the way to go. So I wouldn't go for surgery, and I found the treatments with Rebecca. Frankly, they just put you together. They just put you together.
Couldn't really do anything, could you?
Right. I had done competitive cycling, and then, yeah, my back pain just got so bad I had to stop.
Wendy came in with back pain, and her medical diagnosis was L4, L5 discogenic back pain, and it was a debilitating pain that had her unable to do any of the sports that she likes.
I have a job where I sit in a chair all day. That's bad for your back. I've found Feldenkrais has helped to just that I sit better, so I'm not putting stress on my back, where, you know, I was doing that for the last 15 years. On the table undergoing treatment, it is almost, I would call it like a refreshing feeling. One of the things I didn't notice before was just how much stress I held in my body, and when you lay on the table and just go through a range of motions where they're basically taking the weight of your body and putting you through these range of motions, it makes you feel younger, lighter, invigorated, and you just feel like your body can just move in a different way that feels so much better than you could in your old bad habits that maybe you weren't even aware of.
Over the years, Feldenkrais has proved to be especially effective in helping children with developmental problems and neurological disabilities.
I know that's not your favorite. So we're going to try to see if we can. Locke is an 18-month-old little boy. Whoa! When he first came in, he was not crawling in a reciprocal crawling pattern. His mother was concerned because he wasn't standing.
Initially, he wouldn't do things like stand high up on his knees, like in a half-kneeling position, or side sit, like the way I'm sitting right now. So I brought him in for a session, and he responded so well just to the first session that I figured that we should continue.
And we want to bring the proprioceptive attention to the back of his ribs and his inner scapular area, so we give him a little pressure, and we bring the attention there in different ways. We can do it by touching it, by putting toys there. He would break in his pelvis backwards, and he's able to hold himself up and extend much better through his hips. That's it. What is dancing, dancing, dancing. When he was trying to climb steps, he was only using his right foot. Now he uses both of his feet, and he's just started standing and actually walking, and he's putting weight over most of his feet. See the shark?
So he's much sturdier. So I think it's progressed his ability to walk a little bit faster.
Feldenkrais can also help athletes, singers, and dancers perform better, and can help anyone simply feel better.
Greenfinch and linnet bird, nightingale, blackbird, how is it you sing?
The whole lesson for me is in a Feldenkrais context of the using of the table, of the comfort, of the instruction through touch. When I'm in the process of the lesson, it's like I'm just offering the student what seems to be appropriate at the time that will move things along and be helpful. The increased fullness of the sound comes from Meryl as she discovers her ability to be freer. So all the parts of her skeleton, her vocal mechanism are able to do what they need to do for her task at hand. So, and that translates into an easier, more pleasant experience for her, a richer sound, a fuller sound.
It allows me to to just allow for whatever sound needs to come out to just live and be, as opposed to breaking back into a habit of forcing something out and figuring out what the position is of my jaw and figuring out where is my ribcage supposed to be? How is it supposed to open? When is it supposed to close? And instead, I just didn't have to think about it, and it said, it's all here working as one, and it's all here together.
Cages never taking wing. Wow, that feels amazing.
I mean, I feel like I opened a new door today that I didn't know was even a crack open. And
Feldenkrais practitioners are careful to point out that Feldenkrais is not a medical treatment.
This work is an educational modality. Feldenkrais was very clear on that it's about learning.
With the Feldenkrais method, it's not only about movement. You find when you learn about yourself and you know what you're doing, then it impacts every other aspect of your life.
It's always about helping the person function more and live more authentically and comfortably.
And for many people, they haven't had experiences since early childhood where they really felt inside themselves. So to awaken that capability for people is like turning on the light.
That's Health Watch New York for this week. Good night, and by all means, take care.